Back at it again with the One Piece War.
The One Piece
Official chapter reviews. The return of One Piece after a 1-month break. And of course, we wish Eiichiro Oda the best. And it does feel good to be back in our stride for the One Piece review content. However, I will say this. Obviously, A, this chapter is coming out later than usual. And then B, I am strongly considering making a change that I do reviews, so they come out earlier in the week on Saturday rather than, let's say, a Monday or now seemingly a lot of times Tuesday, because it is getting very tricky to do the reviews like I want to do the reviews on Sunday/Monday. That is getting trickier as time goes on. So I'm considering a change that I think would be better for the long term. Now, before we dive into the Garp and the Kuzan studliness, if you haven't seen my live stream reaction to the chapter, then of course you can watch the entire thing on my Cole Requiem channel for all that good stuff, number one. Number two, of course, is I want to see the post-stream discussion for that chapter. You can go on my twitch.tv as well for the entire stream for One Piece chapter 1087. Then, if you don't know, now you know, we be doing the anime reaction content on the Kingu-san YouTube channel. Of course, One Piece, Demon Slayer, soon to come, JJK, Bleach, Thousand-Year Blood War, and so on and so forth, all on that channel. And this week, we're gonna finish up Demon Slayer Season 3. Now, for this chapter review, as per usual, we're going to break it down step by step and piece by piece with, first of all, the pace and chapter structure, then, of course, the character components of the chapter, and then finally, the story progression components for this chapter. But even though this is the return chapter of One Piece after a 1-month break, it is what it is. Your boy has to put food on the table. And I have to give a brief word for today's sponsor. And today's sponsor is none other than the Surfshark VPN.
Oh!
You see, the World Wide Web absolutely is a very dangerous place. One false step, one wrong move, and you will find out that your week, your month, your year could be completely ruined. And that's why, for my fellow weebs out there across the world, I know that we explore some very interesting locations and some very interesting places on the web.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to...
But you need protection. You need safety. And Surfshark VPN absolutely has your back with dope features like the Clean Web feature that clears up any malware, any viruses, any bad actors that may try and ruin your day. I am a big dude.
Duh.
And part of the reason why is because of them sweet, delicious cookies. Absolutely. But I hate them. I detest them online. So Surfshark VPN is my online dietitian as well. And it's my dietitian everywhere. My desktop, my laptop, my phone, wherever I am, I can have Surfshark VPN protecting me, making sure I am secure, safe, and sound. Furthermore, if you want access, let's say any region-gated content, let's say on Netflix, let's say on Hulu, and even my own channel, since I do have region-gated content.
What did he say?
And you want to gain access to this region-gated content, then you can easily do so by changing the location that you are located in with Surfshark VPN, and with the click of a button, that region-locked content has now been unlocked. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, go in the description box down below. You use code COLE, that is KOL, to get an exclusive offer and 3 months free. Once again, use code COLE, and now let's get back into the video. Now, first and foremost, the chapter pace and structure. This chapter has a total of 4 parts to it. Number 1 is the ship graveyard near Naval Base G1 with Brand New and company. Number 2 is Pirate Island, back to Full Alert Island, where a battle is ensuing between the Marines led by Garp and of course the Blackbeard pirates. Number 3 is a Garp and Kuzan flashback, and number 4 finally is going back to real time on Pirate Island, following up after the Garp and Kuzan flashback. So just those 4 parts for this chapter of One Piece. Very good pacing, considering how simplistically it is the battle between these two forces that is the main focus of this chapter. The paneling during the Garp and Kuzan flashback might be tricky to some because there are several time leaps ahead. Decades worth of time spans in a matter of several panels per panel. So if you were to zoom in really closely on the 3 panels of where the ship Kuzan is punching, you actually see and notice the ship change over the course of the decades. So some folks might get confused by that. However, I would say, in all honesty, the biggest problem I have with this chapter in terms of pacing structure is not the chapter itself, but more so for the overall story itself, where we clearly noticed that there was a lot of warfare that was happening, but the vast majority of the warfare was, of course, skipped, and that does suck. Where the last time we saw these guys, in chapter 1081, Koby still had the ball and chain on him. Groose was with Kujaku on land along with Garp's ship. Helmeppo was also on that ship while Garp was fighting Kuzan. And Kuzan and Garp had their jackets on. And San Juan Wolf wasn't even remotely close to any sort of fighting. In this chapter, Wolf is packed off the rip. We see how Garp and company, their clothes are in tatters. The pirates mention how Garp hasn't missed a beat so far. And even Garp asks Kuzan, do you still want to keep on going, my guy? So, man, oh man. It is unfortunate, but I think it's clear that a lot of the battle between these two forces was skipped, and ultimately I have to rely on Toei in the future to hopefully fill in a lot of those gaps. Now we have the character components for this chapter, and of course we're gonna start things off with Garp Chiujo. We find out more about Garp's training regimen that he maintained for decades. He used scrap marine battleship hulls as sandbags for training. Kind of harkens back to what he did against Don Chinjao, where he used mountains as sandbags. But in this case here, Brand New states the rules, where you're not allowed to use haki or any sort of ability, just raw physical power. Brand New notes to how Garp and Kuzan, these heroes, they had to train in order to get their strength. It wasn't given by birth, like in the same vein as Big Mom or Oden the Chat of Wano. Now, originally, Garp did not have any intention of making Kuzan an apprentice, but Kuzan wanted more than just the typical Navy instructor teaching. Hence why ultimately Kuzan joins Garp in the battleship Bags. Now, just how the Cross Guild have a bounty on Koby, which is a 5-star bounty, which is 500 million berries, they also have one for Garp Chiujo. And according to the Cross Guild system, Garp would have a bounty equal to current Monkey D. Luffy, Trafalgar D. Votello, and Eustace Captain Kido of 3 billion berries. And apparently, all admirals have the same bounty of around 3 billion berries. So that is Aramaki, that is Fujitora, and that is Kizaru. They all have 3 billion berries. Now, of course, the bounties are not an absolute for gauging someone's power in One Piece, i.e. Buggy, but they cannot be completely omitted either, particularly when it comes to serious heavy hitters, raw dog combatants. They cannot be ignored. The admirals are in their positions predominantly because of what their combat ability. That is undeniable. And personally speaking, I do think it is very fair for characters like Law and Kid to be approaching the admiral level, if not at admiral level, like I gauged at the very beginning of this year for the top 30 of 2022. So does this bounty reveal in some way back up my agendas? It does. It absolutely does, including the ones I've had for Garp as well. And the details, the minutia of all that, we can dive into in a future video of One Piece, of course, obviously. So be on the lookout for that video. We also see another move from Garp the Fist, which is Pirate Fireballs. Clearly a meme move where he throws around the pirates that are on fire, that caught fire via Vasco Shot. But the real stuff is once again on display here, where again, he immediately knocks San Juan Wolf into the water when the chapter first starts off. Then he slams City of the Rain into the ground, hard enough to make him bleed from his mouth and nose. And then Garp is also likely the reason why his ship is back in the water, where previously in 1081 it was on land. Remember, way back when in chapter 439, Garp could throw a freakishly large iron ball, cannonball, like it was a paperweight. So Garp is an undeniable physical powerhouse, and this chapter once again reaffirms that. Garp also displays a high endurance level here, where he can get stabbed through the abdomen while continuing to fight. This is already on top of the fact that he was fighting for so long with his men around him for X amount of time that, again, is for the most part, unfortunately, off screen. And the last thing here is that after he gets stabbed, one of the pirates calls Garp Iron Garp in both the scans and the viz, like Mike Tyson. So this might be a relatively uncommon, but potentially another moniker for Garp that exists out there in the world. Iron Garp. And that is when it comes to Garp's character. Next, real quick, is going to be Vasco Shot. Vasco Shot recently got the Glug Glug fruit, and he displays a move with his new ability called the Drunken Spitfire. It is a straight line fire wave from range, and it actually covers the opponent with fire for a while, and their whole body is getting charred. After Vasco Shot is going to be Avalo Pizarro. He can feel the heat from the pirate fireballs when Garp is throwing them around. And recall, in 1080, he told Vasco Shot not to start any fires that can go out of control. Oh, the irony, because right now, Garp is doing that. Now, Avalo can extend the structure of the entire island to an absurd length and reach out towards Garp's ship that's a ways away off the coast. We see hands and legs form from the island like a weird, deformed human, almost like a toddler-like body. And it's weird. It looks funky, but then to be fair, the legs are unusually small when the arms are unusually big. That is kind of the One Piece standard, i.e. Elizabeth O'Neill. Oh, yeah. Disgusting. But that being said, we can see that the island itself starts to form a sort of gigantic stone-like human-ish body on a scale much larger than Pika. We can see the left hand of Pizarro actually go well above the clouds, and the hand reaching out towards Garp's ship looks absolutely massive. It may be even as large as the entirety of Thriller Bark, because we see that island ship parked near Follett Island in chapter 925. So just keep that in mind here, where we see how big Thriller Bark is, and then you see how big the hand is. So that hand could be the size of the entire Thriller Bark, unironically. Could be, not too sure. And it could also explain in a way, where did Thriller Bark go after Moria got imprisoned by the Blackbeard Pirates? Maybe Avalo Pizarro sunk Gecko Moria's ship with his Isle fruit. Maybe. After this, we find out more about Avalo Pizarro's intentions, where in 1080, he was always concerned about damage to the island and making Blackbeard mad and that kind of stuff. But we found in this chapter that he's actually kind of fed up with teaching all the glory, and he wants his name on the papers, and that's why he's attacking Garp's ship. He wants some of the glory, he wants some of the fame and recognition. So that is when it comes to character for Avalo Pizarro. After that is City of the Rain. He can put Haki on his sword for added power and durability. Enough power to stab through Garp's tough body, the iron body of Garp. City of the Rain has not done that so far in the story, and it's the first time we're seeing that. That's number one. Number two, it is implied that City was waiting for the right time to take down Kobe or Garp, and hadn't made a move for the entire battle up until we see him in this chapter. This shows a high degree of cunning, patience, and foresight on the part of City of the Rain. And finally, last but not least, Kuzan. In the past, at a very young age, not confirmed how old he was. I know folks are like debating that in some ways online. I'm not too sure how old he is. But at a very young age, Kuzan was quote unquote done with the usual Navy regiment and instructors. He wanted more, and that's when he came to Garp Chujo. So it kind of implies that Kuzan was gifted in some ways where he could outpace the usual Navy regiment at that young of an age. Either that or he just outworked everybody else. And that framework could be one of the cornerstone reasons why he could be a Navy admiral. Impressive. But then we see the battleship bags, and apparently Kuzan and Garp had comparable raw physical strength, since over the course of time we see Kuzan starting to match the same sound effects that Garp is making with the battleship punching bags. So when it comes to just raw physicality, it's possible that Kuzan and Garp are comparable, since there is evidence backing that up on two fronts, not just in the case of the flashback, but also in real time. Number 3 for Kuzan. He has a move called Ice Glove, and he coats his hand in ice and armored Haki to match Garp's Conqueror's Haki infused punch. It's enough power to send someone like Garp flying in a cross punch. And that, my friends, is the final bit for character components for this chapter of One Piece. I would say the meatiest section of this chapter review. And now we have the story progression components for this chapter. Number 1, more about the relationship between Kuzan and Garp with the battleship bags. Note to how Navy Base G1 is the old Marine Corps that we saw in the pre-time skip. The current base commander is actually, if you don't know, it is confirmed to be Vice Admiral Momonga. Correct. Momonga is running the old Marine Ford in the pre-time skip. If you don't know, that was revealed in a Vivid card. Now you know. After this, the battle rages. It rages on Full Lead Island. Wolf is, of course, again, KO'd off screen pretty much and instantly. Vasco Shot does do one attack on Garp, and Garp blocks with some henchmen, pirate henchmen, and then Vasco Shot just seemingly dips. He's out of the way. And then Garp begins to throw around these pirates, and he's creating all sorts of chaos on the island. So Garp being a menace as per usual. Then Avalo notices Garp's ship in the distance when Kujaku is calling up Garp with updates on people that are on the ship. This is likely when Avalo decides to attack Garp's ship. And then on Garp's ship, we see Body getting thawed after she was frozen over by Kuzan. And then we find out that other cats are getting the same treatment, where they're also getting thawed. After this, Garp mentions that Full Lead Island lives up to its reputation, and there's no end to the pirate swarm. This is a callback, a direct callback to what Gru said in chapter 1061, where the place is crawling with a ridiculous number of pirates, and it's full of lead because of all of the pirate disputes via so many pirates, and all the gunshots, lead bullets in the area. After this, Koby gets tricked by a random pirate duo, and Garp takes a stab by City of the Rain. This is, for sure, this is undeniably not a good look for Koby. I do give Koby the benefit of the doubt. I do, because ultimately Koby is the same rank as Tashigi. Someone like Hina outranks Koby. So Koby, he's not a stud, a phenom, a superstar. No, he's not that dude, at least not yet. So in the next chapter, we could see that play out for Koby, but we'll have to wait and see. That being said, though, Koby does get tricked by random pirates, which forces Garp's hand and allows Sea of the Rain to get a good stab on Garp Chujo. As this, it's confirmed that Garp has a cross guild bounty, and his cross guild bounty is the same as apparently other admirals, which is 3 crowns. Luffy, Law, Kid, Amaraki, Fujitora, and Kizaru, and Garp all have the same bounty. Buggy clears. So that, I think, infers a lot. I know folks want to, no, it doesn't mean. I think it does mean something, particularly when you realize that the admirals themselves are in their positions because of their combat skills. But to be fair, it's not everything, for sure. But it is something. That's also for sure. After this, Kuzan and Garp trade blows evenly, and Avalo takes aim at the ship. Garp does tell Koby justice will prevail, alluding to either A, he knows of something / someone that will save their ship from destruction by Pizarro, or B, words to motivate Koby to do something to save that ship from annihilation. I'm leaning towards A, but I will acknowledge B is possible. I have my doubts, I do, for damn sure. But I will acknowledge that yes, B is possible. And that's it. That is it when it comes to these story progression components for this chapter. I would say overall, this chapter was a good chapter. I would say that the biggest issue with the chapter is a main story issue where it's, hey, we have a lot of skipping going on, and things that were in 1081 are so far from in 1087. So far from. It's nuts. But we do find out more about the ties between Kuzan and Garp, which is good. We do see more of the cross guild stuff. Very good, because the cross guild is helping us kind of gauge the Marines more appropriately, I'd argue. Then we do see some pretty cool moves by Garp and Kuzan. City of the Rain finally does something, which is dope. Very dope. But Garp just throwing him down to the ground with so much power, nose and mouth bleeding. Yeah, Garp is a real force of nature. He definitely is. However, on the back foot, massively, it is undeniable that Garp and the boys are in deep trouble. And I've said for a while now, like, yo, listen, man, there's a good case here that they saved Koby, but Garp is taking an L. And right now, it seems like you don't even need Blackbeard to do it. Pirate Island is living up to its reputation. The place is dangerous. Dangerous AF. When you see Garp on his back, kind of exhausted, tired, he's always said before that he's not the same guy he used to be. So, I don't think things are gonna pan out that well for Garp Chujo. And also, one last thing. Punk Hazard exists. Kuzan did some nutty stuff there. Where is that, Kuzan? Some folks have been guessing, assuming, theoretically speaking, that Kuzan is not utilizing his awakening. I'm not too sure. It's possible, but Punk Hazard does exist. Likely because of the fact that he's on full lead island. He can't do that kind of stuff. But there's a possibility here where Kuzan has a lot to show. And even in this fight, he's not completely showing it. But that being said, the overall chapter rating, I think, is a 7 out of 10. I think it's a good chapter, One Piece. Not great per se, but I think cool stuff and good stuff. But that's it. I'm gonna see you guys later. Have a nice one.
See you. Bye-bye.